Hey everyone, this is Mike Andes. You're listening to the Business Bootcamp Podcast. And today we're going to be talking to Dion from Kansas City about how he can grow his landscaping business. Now, I'm going on an all-out thing with service-based businesses. I'm going to be doing a bunch of calls, and I want to select 2 to 3 of them to get on to the show. So if you have a service-based business, I don't care if you're a contractor, plumber, electrician, any sort of like home repair, or you go to people's houses and you clean, whatever it is, if you're a service-based business, I want to hear from you, and just go to businessbootcamppodcast.com, go through the contact page, or email me at businessbootcamppodcast@gmail.com. In the subject line, just put service-based business, and I'm going to call a bunch of you in the next couple weeks and then put a few of you on the show. So if you're in the landscaping, like what's his name here is Dion from Missouri, Kansas City. I want to hear from you very specifically because I'm in the service-based business. That's kind of where my roots are at, and I really feel I can help you a lot. So if you want to start, grow, save your business in the service-based industry in the next couple weeks, especially, I want to hear from you, and we're going to get a couple of those here live on the show. Now, before we get into today's show, though, I do want to say thank you to today's sponsor, the longest-standing sponsor of the show, and that's FreshBooks. FreshBooks.com is not only accounting software, it also does your invoicing, and it also does your customer relationship management, your CRM, keeps track of everyone's information, all your customers. What I like about FreshBooks is it's super easy to understand. Like, I'd say if you're making like maybe a few million in revenue, you might want something a little more complex. There's other steps above FreshBooks, but if you're making under that, like, it's super easy to look at the graphs, see where you're at. It takes all your expenses, all of your income, all where the money is coming from, and then where it's going to, and graphically shows you very quickly. So like whether it be your outstanding revenue, your total profit margin, like gives you your margins. It's all very graphical and picture, lots of pictures. So it's very easy to understand, know where you're making money, if you're making money, what you can do to improve, and it's very, very user-friendly. I highly recommend you go to freshbooks.com/bootcamp. You get a free 30-day trial. You get to try it completely free. You don't even need to put your card information in. And in the How Did You Hear About It section, just put Business Bootcamp Podcast. They're a great supporter of the show, and I really, really do appreciate it. Now, let's get over to Dion. This is going to be a 2-part call. So first part, we're going to hear about Dion's business, what he's been doing, where he needs to kind of really just get kind of a background, where he's at right now, growing his company, scaling it up. And then really in part 2, dig really deep into exactly what he should be doing. Marketing tactics. We're going to talk about taking all your customers, not increasing your customer base, but rather trying to increase the amount of dollars per customer that they are spending. Essentially offering other services, trying to increase the lifetime customer value. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, and what you need to be doing when you just have a small team, you're trying to grow it. And one of the biggest takeaways from today's show, I have to say, I'm just going to say up front, is when you're a small business, do not outsource your bookkeeping. Do not outsource the numbers. Excuse me. You don't know how many small business owners I've talked to that don't know their numbers, and you should know them like the back of your hand. It's very important as you scale your business, because you can't scale a business profitably if you don't know your numbers. So I talk about that a little bit more in the show, and I look forward to sharing it with you. I'm going to share this also on Landscape Business Course Podcast because that's specifically for landscapers, and we'll talk about some more in-depth stuff over there. Now, let's get to the show. And remember, this is a 2-part series, so listen to them both. Here we go. Dion from Kansas City. Cool. All right. So you're coming from, is it, let's see here, Montana, if I remember correctly?
No, we're actually in Missouri.
Missouri. That was it. I knew it started with an M. Cool. Awesome. All right. So I'm on your website. I've looked a little bit around, but kind of just to give me a little bit of background, you kind of give me some context how you started it, kind of where you're at, and then we'll go into kind of like what we can talk about.
Okay. Just a little bit of background. We started. I kind of started it about 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. It started on a part-time basis, just kind of as a way to supplement income. Then it just kind of began to grow from there. About, let's say, 2 years ago, it's when it grew substantially. And it grew to the point to where it was that time to make a decision. to where you can't handle the workload and work a job at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So about toward the end of 2015 is when I started preparing to make the jump from part-time to full-time entrepreneurship. And about the spring of last year, 2016, is when we started out, and that's when I went full-time. So since then, I've been full-time, approximately coming up on, I'm in the middle of my second year here. My second season is full-time. I have one full-time employee right now. That's about it. It's kind of gone up and down. Last year, we were on the roller coaster of, hiring guys and losing guys, having to get rid of guys or losing guys. This year, I retained the crew that I had. I retained them for a little bit longer than last year, but unfortunately, as up to recently, we did lose a guy to college. A guy went back to college, and then I had another one. I just had to kind of let go because he's just kind of stopped coming to work and no calls, no shows. So it's gotten back down here recently to me and my crew manager. And basically, we're just I'm trying to get this thing down to a science, to where I can scale it. And because I'll be honest with you, this year it seemed like I was almost there. It seemed like I was there for a second, and then it just went away. So just trying to get a roadmap of how to get there and stay there. And I've been, since I've been back out in the field, I've been just kind of listening to your podcast for the last about week and a half. Mm-hmm. So that's why I decided to go ahead and reach out to you.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so like right now, what do you kind of do in revenue right now? Are you like at like 7 to 10 grand, I'm guessing, a month in gross revenue?
Yeah, that's exactly where we're at. It's fluctuated through these last 3 months, but about the average is about $7,500 a month.
Okay.
June, that's what we did about July, and about in June we actually did 10.2. And then it dropped down about 75, but that's where we're on track to do about 7 this month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then I'm guessing like May, June of this year, you felt like you were like on track, like as far as where you wanted to be at, and then it kind of slowed down a bit.
Yeah, it kind of, as far as personnel wise, it kind of went backwards now.
Right.
Fortunately for us, customer wise and client base, it's been pretty steady, and it's picked up. It kind of took a stagnant state in about, let's say about June, July, but for some reason here within the last week or so, it's picked back up again heavily. We went through a period, I think last week, I picked up 12 estimates in a couple of days. It's like they came out of nowhere. So yeah. It's kind of picked back up a little bit.
Do you ask those estimates where they're hearing about you from?
Okay, so and that's another thing I need to be more strict and consistent with. Now, just a little overview. I have when I did my phone system, I do subscribe to a reception service. So they take my calls when I'm out in the field, and they act as the receptionist for my company. One of the agreements is they never reveal to a customer that they are the answering service, quote unquote. So it comes off to the customer as them being a secretary of the company. We went through a setup process, and it took me some time, but they had me write scripts for their reps. So when a call from me comes up, it just kind of pops up on their screen, and they follow the prompts and the instructions in the script. And one of the questions in the script when they're collecting a customer's information for an estimate, one of the questions is, how did you hear about us? Mm-hmm. So I have to actually get that question added to my estimate form on my website, because I don't think we have that one added on there yet.
So have they been asking that on the phone part though, on the receptional?
Yes, they have. And when they email me the customer's information sheet, it's listed on there. I just have to get, like I said, a little bit more on top of actually tracking it and putting it on a spreadsheet and keeping track of it.
So based upon the few that you have got, like, have you seen any, like, where are they coming from right now? Do you know?
A lot of them are coming from word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are either coming from word of mouth or they're coming from, I want to say Facebook. Now, it changed throughout the course of the year.
Yeah.
Toward the beginning of the year, a lot of them came from, we do door hangers here.
Yeah.
And I'll ask you about marketing in just a second because I can probably do a lot better at that. But this year we did door-to-door. We did door hangers. So in the beginning of the season, a lot of them came from the door hangers that we actually put out. But at this point, a lot of it's just coming from word of mouth or, seeing us out in other customers' yard. They'll ask their neighbor for the information.
Mm-hmm. Do you have an enclosed trailer or an open air trailer?
I have two trailers. I have both are going to be enclosed. One is a 6x12 enclosed.
Yeah.
The one we actually use now is an 8.5x20.
Oh wow, cool! Wow, that's big. Then is that enclosed the second one?
Yes, both of them are enclosed.
Do you? Oh, I see one of them here, the 6x12. Is that? Are those? Can you get your logo on there?
Yes, I can. I have now the thing I'm battling about that is I purchased we were running one truck and it kind of laid down on me, so I had to go purchase another, and I didn't purchase a new truck. I just came to I just bought a used truck,
mm-hmm.
and the issue is, or in my side of town, it has to get into. I have to get certain things fixed on it first before it can pass DOT, the Department of Transportation, and they're really sticklers in this area. So I got to kind of get those things taken care of, and then I can wrap my truck. I mean, I can wrap it now, but I just face the risk of once you put the logoing and the lettering on there.
But what about the trailer? What about the trailer though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Once you put the logo and the letter on the trailer, that's when you just kind of make yourself a target for DOT.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because then they know you're commercial.
Right. So right now, we've kind of been flying under the radar. They don't know whether we're commercial or whether we're residential. A lot of times they don't. A lot of times we've been fortunate enough that they don't check. But once we put the lettering in on there, then that's when we become a target. And I may become subject to some of those DOT tickets in the meantime, which are not the most affordable.
What would they ticket you for though? Like, is it for what would they ticket you for?
They would. I have a list. I have to find the list. As far as they would ticket me for the truck. Now the trailer they won't be able to because everything's legit on there. That the 8.5x20 is one that I purchased this year, and that's what we use. So it's brand spanking new. But like I said, the used truck have a few things that have to get fixed on it. I have the list, and we've been working on getting a few things fixed on it.
I've never heard of that. It's like the DOT, if it's a commercial vehicle, it has to pass certain EPA standards and everything, like emissions.
Yes, and it has to pass in this. I don't know if it's the same for every area, but I know here it has to pass a DOT inspection.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah, we don't have that up here, fortunately. We have to get a DOT number, but that's only for trucks that have over, I think it's 20,000 pounds for our dump trucks and stuff.
See, here they combine. It's by weight too here,
right?
And it's combined with the trailer too. So the trailer and the truck.
What's that number? Do you know?
I have to look it up again. I have information. Because I was looking into getting all this taken care of, so I had it all on a sheet of paper of everything that we need to get taken care of, but I don't know it off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm just looking up DOT Missouri weight limits because I've never heard of that, but that here weight limits. Because I think if you're the reason I say it is because if you're getting mostly word of mouth and people have seen you work, the number one way to get people to recognize your brand is the trailer. And even if it's not the truck, because I get it, like if you buying older vehicles and they turn around every few years, whereas the trailer though, like that thing's massive, 8.5 by 20, like that's a billboard basically you can put down going down the road, right?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is, but like if it's under 10,000, you'd probably be okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna definitely. I'm writing that down here. I'm definitely double check on that.
Because like for us, we don't even have to get worried about it until like 20,000 and 26,000, and we don't need a CDL until we're over 26,000. Sorry, I'm kind of reading here as I talk to you. Maximum length of any sort of vehicle 2045. Okay. Well, anyways, yeah. I just recommend figuring out, go to your local DOT and actually confirm that. I've never heard of that before. As far as like if you're just taking a small pickup and a trailer, you can't be going more than 10,000-12,000 pounds, and usually that's going to be okay. Now once you do go commercial, I don't know what your state laws are about DOT. Like for us, we don't have to get a DOT number, but getting a DOT number for us is like literally go online and pay $10. So it could be totally different, but I'd check into it because I've never heard of that much restriction, as far as having an inspection on all your vehicles and everything, but I could be totally wrong. So
something we're definitely going to check into here.
Cool. All right. So what question do you have as far as marketing? Because that'd be my first thing though, as far as if you're getting mostly word of mouth, people come up to you while you're working, they seeing you work, things like that. Like you want that billboard on the back of the trailer, like on the trailer, like that's probably your biggest thing. But like, is besides that, what have you been doing right so far?
As far as marketing wise,
yeah,
we've done
door hangers.
Like I said earlier in the year, we did the door-to-door marketing.
Okay.
With the door hangers.
Mm-hmm.
Also, we've run some Facebook ads.
Yeah.
And then I did some ads on I did some ads on Craigslist.
Mm-hmm.
Paid marketing ads on Craigslist, and then I joined. I don't know if you're familiar with Zarly.
I'm not. No.
We joined Zarly. It's kind of like a
networking thing.
Networking, like a networking firm, and we've gotten some customers from there. But pretty much, to be totally honest with you, we've been very fortunate because, in my opinion, we've done the bare minimum as far as marketing wise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and like I said, still turn out a pretty decent customer base.
Mm-hmm. How far apart are like your clients? Like, if you take your entire kind of scope of all your customers, which I'm guessing is like 30 to 40, if you take all of them, how far apart are the furthest ones apart? Like 10 miles, 20 miles?
It's probably going to be between 25 and 30 miles. We're actually at active client count of 84 right now.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Yeah, so what I would say, wow, you're at 84. Okay, so let me switch this up on you then. So what I'd be saying, if you have 84 customers and your revenue's at 7,500, I'd be trying, if I was you, I wouldn't even be focusing on getting new clients. I'd be focusing on how do you make your 84 clients pay you $200 a month instead of 110. And so that's offering more services, making sure they know that you offer these services with emails, and making sure that, come fall, they know that you do leaf cleanup or that you do gutter clean out, so you do pressure washing. Because like I'm just looking basically solely at how many dollars per maintenance client you have that you're making, like how many dollars are you making per month on each maintenance client. And when that's around 100, there's a lot of room, because you can upsell them in so many ways, and that's the low hanging fruit. Like honestly, you could take that from 110 to 170, and you've have a 50% increase in your business without getting one more client.
Okay.
So like I would double down, because if I hear 84 clients, I am thinking someone should be making, like, literally you can make $30,000 a month in revenue on that many clients. If you're upselling them, if you're What I would suggest doing as far as getting new clients at this point, I wouldn't be spending a whole lot of money on it. I'd be focusing on how do I meet more of the needs of my existing clientele, and then I'd also be to get the new clients. I'd only be interested in getting the ones that are very close, because like 30 miles is pretty far, like a big scope. So what I would do is I would take a bunch of your flyers and distribute them to the 5 or 6 closest houses to some of your key properties that look really nice, that are visible from the road, and write down an estimate on that, like on the sheet for someone's house, and put it in the 5 or 6 houses next to some of those showcase clients that you got. And so that's how I would get because they see your work, and especially if they can see your trailer every single week, coming mowing their neighbor's lawn, and then their lawn you might notice gets shaggy occasionally. Like they might be looking for someone to mow it, take that off their plate, and they're gonna do it a whole lot more likely with you if they've seen that you do great work at their neighbor's place, and if you provide them a quote without them even asking. So I would like the 2 things I would focus on then as far as marketing is, number 1 is how do you increase your revenue per maintenance client per month. And so that's like offering other services. It means, okay, like, can you add fertilization? Can you add core aeration? Can you add weeding services? Like most people who have a lawn have beds, and most people who have beds have shrubs to cut. And like, so like there's so many things you can upsell them to. And a lot of times it just has to do with asking, or at least telling them that you do it. It's amazing. Like when my first year, how many times I would see someone, I'd go by one of my clients' house and someone's like pressure washing their driveway. And in my mind, I'm like, man, like I could have done that. And I probably could have easily got that business, but it's because I didn't convey to my clients that I offered those services. And so whether that be sending them promotional emails, like on a MailChimp or something like that, to tell them around the time they're going to need it. For instance, around fall, gutters and leaf cleanups, in spring, bark installs, like during the dead of summer, it might be trying to xeriscape, like take out some lawn and put in a bed, put in pathways, clean out their pools. There's so many things you can do, but it's all about upselling the customer. Like this is the thing: one maintenance client that does $100 a month, and you go every single week. Let's say that's $1,200 a month, $1,200 a year. Now you take that same client, they give you a mulch install job with some trimming of trees. That $1,200 you can make in a couple days. And so what I'd be trying to do if I was you is looking at every single one of your customers' properties. And furthermore, what I would do is email everyone this week and say, hey, we're giving away a free home, or actually I do it this fall when people start like kind of thinking about winterizing their house. I'd offer all of your customers a free one-on-one meeting with you, and I'd call it a property analysis. Or a property needs analysis, and you'd go over everything from like even stuff that you might not do, like winterizing their house or looking for pests, checking out their gutters, seeing if they need cleaned, looking at if there's like moss growing on their sidewalks, looking if trees need to be cut away from windows, all sorts of like they have a checklist of things that you go down, like 50 things that you go through on every single property. And even if they don't respond back to you, fill one out and send it to them. And tell them the things that they possibly need, and then what you would charge for it. And I think you'd be amazed how much more business you'd get. Like when I see $100, a little over $100 per client in revenue each month for maintenance, I'm thinking like that can easily be moved to 150, 160 very easily, by letting people know what your services are. And then the main thing is pitching those services at the right time of year.
Okay. So I'm just taking notes.
No, you're good. Yeah, so that'd be number 1 is like, how do you get your monthly revenue per client up? I wouldn't be worrying about, getting new clients at this point hardly at all. Like I think with 84 clients, yeah, the guys in our course, and like where I was at, let me see, because I was at 74, and we did like 28,000 a month. So like I genuinely believe you can get over 20,000 a month in revenue on that many clients. Like I know that's like, you're like, wow, it's like more than double. But like I said, a mulch install, a tree trim, that doubles the client's revenue over the course of a year that you make from them. And so it's identifying the issues that you can solve for them and then pitching it to them at the right time. And so whether that be getting all their emails and figuring that out, or it be going door to door during the fall, like when you slow down, that's the time you should be like kind of like getting out to your customers, knocking on their doors, seeing if there's things on their property, like the thing that's nice is you're in the field right now. So you kind of have an idea of what they need or could possibly use you for. And so it's easy to be like, oh, like obviously there's some, moss growing on their deck, and you could just go up and ask them, or hey, make it a little more formal, have a property needs analysis, have a clipboard with a checklist, and make sure that all of your clients come fall have their house is winterized, things like their crawl space have the covers on them, their water has been blown out of their hose, and they got the foam caps over for when it freezes, like all sorts of things like that. They're looking for leaks that might possibly freeze their pipe, the drains on their gutters. Like there's so many things, like literally 50 things you could make a checklist of. And I'm like, not everyone does this, and you'll grow out of this phase where you're really trying to siphon all the dollars out of each client. However, the reason you won't have to do that in the future is because you'll grow in size enough to where people will just expect you to do all those other things anyways. But when you're small as you are and you don't have a big brand, you don't like the trucks aren't labeled, you don't have a bunch of employees, they think, oh, well, I don't want him to feel like he has too much work. I don't want to put too much on his plate. So I'll ask someone else to do the gutters. I'll ask someone else to trim the trees because they can do it faster. Well, in your mind, you're like, man, if I could only get that, I could hire someone else, or, so I think, number one, I'd focus on trying to get your revenue per client to over $150. I think you're at like 110 right now. Try to get that, on average to about over 150. I think it's very, very possible. It doesn't mean raising your prices necessarily. It means like, okay, do they need fertilization? Do they need core aeration? Like literally out of 84 clients, I guarantee you, I don't know, I guess I can't guarantee you because I don't know your market super well, but like I know in most places if I have 84 clients and I send them all an email offering core aeration at the right time of year, or thatching, just depending on what your market's like, I guarantee usually about 20 of those are going to respond. You say, well, I don't have a thatcher. Well, you can go rent one for like $50 a day, and you get 20 people and they're $50 each. Like that's $2,000. Wait, 20, no, it's $1,000. It's $1,000, right? If you got 20 people at $50 each, and honestly, we charge a minimum of 100 for those services. So I think there's definitely potential to do a lot more with the clients you have. That's number one. And then number two is, if you have 84 clients and let's say 40 of them have properties that are visible, that have neighbors that can see the lawn that you mow, or that see your truck when you park there, those 40 clients, I would print off 5 flyers per client. Say there's 40 of them that you, like I said, are visible from the road, visible from neighbors. I take 5 flyers per house, let's say 200. And then when you're at that house mowing your client's lawn, look at the 5 closest houses, the one that see their lawn the best, and write down on a piece of paper, like handwritten is fine, in pen, what the price per cut would be. Just try to get them on the mowing. Like how I look at mowing, Dion, is just like the bait to get them in. Once I get them in, I can sell them to the services that are actually going to make me money. Mulch install, trimming of trees. Like for us, we can charge, between $40 and $60 an hour for mowing when it breaks down. Whereas for like mulch install, like you can really get that quite a bit higher, like 60 to 80 if you do it right as you grow. And so I'd be focusing on how do you get those services and just use the mowing as a bait, because everyone needs the lawn. If they have grass, they need it cut, right? So that's an easy way to get people in. And then once you're in, make sure that you are constantly aware of the other things you could be doing for them, and then market to them at the right time. So those 5 flyers, I would write down their address. I'd have like a line. If you make a postcard even, and it has where you fill in the blank, 2 spots. One needs to be their address. The second one needs to be what the cost per mow is for you to come to their house. And I'd print off 200 of those. I take 5 each of those properties that are visible, and I would put those on all the 5. And I guarantee you, if you do 40 and 5 at each one, 200 people, and I guarantee you're gonna get 10 to 20 calls just from that. And I wouldn't be surprised. Like that's a 5 to 10% closing ratio, and off of the 200. And I think that's pretty realistic, to be honest with you.
Okay, I got that down. We're in notes here.
And I think obviously, a little bit more of a long term, kind of like next spring, I'd be shooting for trying to get your trailers graphicked up. Like, I'd get that tiger face, man, as big as you possibly can. like it's the one thing that's going to set you apart, and it's going to attract attention, right? People need to know, like you right now there's 100 of people like Dion running around with a trailer that does not have a logo, has a truck, and they're trying to get past the DOT or whatever. How you're going to set yourself apart is having that turf tiger out on the road. Like, I mean, that thing should be, that should be the, like, if that was the only thing on your trailer, that's all you need. Like, literally that, a phone number, and then just something that says like lawn care and landscaping services. That's all you need, because the only reason you're doing that is so that when you put those 5 flyers out on their neighbor's lawn, on their neighbor on the door of the neighbors, that they already recognize that tiger's face. That's literally your goal in putting it on your truck. And like, that's the only reason you do it, is so when they see that flyer, they're like, oh yeah, they mow so-and-so's lawn. It's not like, who in the world is this tiger guy? Because they've never seen it before.
Right. Okay. We'll definitely have that down to get the trailer wrapped.